Hey, welcome to Waiting on the Lord. Today is March 3rd. Get right into this one. Hope everyone's doing well. Before I get into what I've written, which is a comprehensive list of the things I've seen since COVID-19 started, like a lot of the things that I see in society happening. I saw some stuff on TV yesterday that was quite disturbing. So I live in Canada. This happened in Canada. It wasn't that long ago, and there were two things that happened. A pastor in Calgary. So I'm gonna link this, and it was on Tucker Carlson last night. Okay, so you can find it. You can find him on his Facebook too. Pastor Derek Reimer. He went into like a planned, like a drag queen story hour. Drag queen story hour is here. It's here in Canada now. It's here in every city. And I only found that out yesterday. So he went in and he tried to call them out, and he tried to call it evil. You can look for yourself. They throw him out of the room. Go look. They throw him on the ground. And then, like, they were the ones who threw him on the ground. But yet, I think it was the next day, or it was that weekend, they go to his house and they arrested him. Persecution of the Christians is here. And I'm going to get a little bit more into that. But in another occasion, a high school student, so what is he, maybe 16, 17, here in Canada. I think it may have been, I don't know exactly where it was, to tell you the truth, but he said his beliefs, okay, in a Catholic school. He said his beliefs, and they suspended him, and he went to go back to school, and the police arrested him. So I'm telling you that this very video I'm making right now could get me arrested for speaking out about LGBTQ. I'm not kidding. Such stuff is already in Great Britain. People are being arrested for making videos, for making statements. And also, I also ask you to look at this. I think it was the last Saturday Night Live skit. Woody Harrelson was the presenter. He was the host. Go look what he said about COVID. And because of what he said, I'm not going to say what he said word by word, but because he said that, the left started to attack him. And the weird thing was, they started to attack him like the very next day. I saw it on Joe Rogan. I saw it on Valuetainment talking about it, how they attacked him so quickly. And I'm telling you, on the very top is rich families like the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds. Then it's like corporations, media. So they own the media. And the scary thing was, you speak out against COVID-19 and the vaccines, and they come after you like 10 media news sources come at you at once. So people are starting to get it, that it's all about money, okay? So we're living in a crazy society, and it's owned by the very rich, and that's a very scary thing, eh? Owned by like Silicon Valley and stuff like that. I always run out of time on my videos, so I'm gonna just go ahead. So this is just, oh yes, I have to say this. We are saved through faith through Jesus Christ, not of works, least any man should boast. So if you believe in Jesus Christ, that's good enough. The only thing I say, I don't say you're saved by works, but I say why, I encourage people to do works, to do good things, right? That's what I say to people. So I thought I'd put together a comprehensive list of events that have taken place since COVID-19. Also, I'm going to attach Amir, One World Religion, and watch that video, okay? Very good video by him about the Catholic Church, and I think it's going to end. I think the world's going to end with the Catholic Church. That's what I think is going to happen. And you'll see why, and he'll tell you why. I know it's fruitless to show people who simply refuse to believe, but for the rest, here's a list. Let's not forget that prior to COVID, a big news story would come along every week or so. Something worth mentioning, something worth mentioning. Like if a plane crashed, like Malaysian's flight 380, I forget if it was just flight 380, and we would hear about that and we did hear about that for a long time. And Don Lemon put it best when he said it could have been a black hole. He really said that. I just saw that the other day. So I remember when General Soleimani from Iran was assassinated by Trump, which did the world a lot of good. In that same period, Russia shot down an airliner. So this is right prior to COVID. Then COVID hit and everyone forgot those two things except for the Iranians. China held for many important days the news of the virus, which many chose to forget because it was their fault. And that's the reason why Donald Trump kept saying it on TV as many times as he could, the China virus. People should be angry at China, okay? But they've turned it around on us. So now they say there is it is a lab leak theory. Like, that's it, obviously, The virus starts in a place where they're doing gain of function research and coronavirus research. So Fauci lied and it was a lab leak. You know what I just heard, and it's frightening for me. And China is warning the U.S. that sanctions on them for sending weapons to Russia would cause China to stop all pharmaceutical shipments. And in that, many people would die. I looked over the list. It's like heparin, acetaminophen, ibuprofen. I don't know how far it goes, but it's quite far. It worries me because I take pain meds. I take pain meds that I need. Would that increase the chance of war more? Yes. I know what the U.S. did to their chip market, but this is actual mass life danger. I can't find a definitive list of drugs to look over since I've been looking for, okay, sorry, but that's a scary prospect. The United States made such bad errors that Trump would have corrected, but we get most of our active ingredients from China. It's like 80 to 90%. Penicillin, ibuprofen, acetaminophen, heparin. I'll move on to the next thing here. We should move our factories home. I live in Ottawa, Canada, where the first protest began for COVID mandates for truckers. And let's face it, everyone else, they were representing everyone else in the world. Justin Trudeau said that the people who were protesting were misogynist and Nazis and were a fringe group. But the Capitol was flooded with tens of thousands of people for days. That was the voice of a dictator. They didn't want to have vaccine mandates to drive trucks and wear masks. No, they shouldn't have occupied where they did, because I know they blocked people. But the cause was right. So when I talk about China and stuff, right? If that virus didn't start, I wouldn't have been damaged from the shot. And they did something else too that affected my life. I was damaged by the shot and forced to wear masks when they don't even stop transmission, even in an MRI machine. The fundraisers were frozen by Facebook. It was like $10 million, and an illegal, never seen before move. CBDC and government IDs will do that to people. So if they implement that, that's exactly what they'll do. You do the wrong stuff, they'll shut you down. It's that easy. Protesters were run over by horses in some accounts and arrested for using their right to protest peacefully, which was 99.9% peaceful. That protest went viral and many were afraid to do the same. Government control changed forever. They used the Emergency Measures Act that was meant for war. It turned out the FBI intervened and wanted us to invoke that act, so it was the FBI who was asking the government to do that. Australia was another hotbed of authoritarianism for COVID because they had a real internment camp for people sick with COVID, whether those were their own people or travelers, but it was eerie. Another event that happened was the Capitol building on January 6th, which I find quite insane. This is just a list of things that I saw. Like they stormed the Capitol building. The emergence of transvestitism. And what I mean is the explosion. Can you see how quickly it accelerated? 5 years ago, it was 1 in 3,000 persons. I don't know if my voice is going, my dysphonia in my throat. So it was 1 in 3,000 people. I think it was maybe 1 in 3,000 women. And within this year, it's like 1 in 50 for all LGBTQ. But the rate of trans has gone up like 10 times at least. And if you ask me, social media is the reason, because if we didn't have it and we didn't have connectivity, do you think all these people would think these things? Of course not. People don't understand that part. Because I'm on my laptop half the day, I have access to my news ticker, so I pay close attention. Earthquakes have risen more than ever, and by the way, there was an earthquake in 6.7 Vanuatu or something. A lot of these earthquakes are happening in like Indonesia and places, you know, you might say thank God that they're happening in you know, not sparsely populated places except for Turkey. Diverse places, right? Nord Stream was destroyed in an act of sabotage, in my opinion, war. So that was an act of war. Think about it. I do think the United States did it, and that's an act of war. Even with that Seymour Hersh, they still have to prove it, right? Since that time, there's been a ton of, and you might ask yourself, why isn't Germany protesting like hell against the United States? Who was the person who was going to benefit from that? So they say Norway did it as well with the US. And all of a sudden, Norway they have a lot of oil and gas, sending it over, and so has the States. So do the math. Why wouldn't they, right? You might think, oh, conspiracy theorists, but you think of what they're doing with the vaccines and what I said at the beginning of this. You're an anti-vaxxer if you talk against it, you know, and you're attacked by 50 people. So since then, there have been a ton of street protests in Europe and high energy costs. I don't know how high the energy costs are, but they're at least 4 times in Europe and more. France, Germany. To tell you the truth, in 2022, there are protests all over the world because of this crazy Green Deal and agenda that will never work because of the energy needs and lack of infrastructure. The World Economic Forum, I'm guessing, has a hand in the Dutch government taking away their farms. 3,000 farms. And they're trying to do the same with like fertilizer and it's like they're trying to put them out of business on purpose. Making a big deal about fertilizer and cow farts. Think of the costs of pollution, making it so expensive to farm that they sell their farms and livestock and they burn them. So they make it so expensive that you can't continue farming. They offer you money for your stock, for your animals, for your whatever it is you're growing, and they say if you burn it, we will pay you. And they take over your farm. That's the Communist Manifesto. They really do. This is right on their website, WEF. They want us eating insects for protein. It's not a joke, eh? It's not a joke. People think things are a joke until they actually happen. Don't forget who this is, and they're all led by. When most people hear what I'm saying, they laugh, but they don't know. And it's usually them who are the last laughing. The very last ones finding out. In Genesis, we have full rule and dominion over the animals and fish of the sea. Here's another one. You never hear the end of this. Hunter Biden and his laptop, which likely incriminates both he and his father. And I can only guess how compromised he is because of it. Joe Biden. I don't know why all the information wasn't already leaked. Like, who has it? I know that Isaac repair man guy. I know he felt so threatened that he made a copy of it and he sent it to Rudy Giuliani. And so it's like they're spreading a bit of it piece by piece. Who knows, it might hurt someone, right? So it turns out China is responsible for the lab leak after all, which I knew from day one with a lab so close by. It's so dumb, right? Here we have the novel coronavirus, and people can't figure out where it came from. And the Institute for Virology that specializes in coronavirus is in the same city close by. The US knew the whole time. China is an evil place, and what I mean is not the people, I mean the Chinese Communist Party. They're literally trying to kill Americans and Canadians, and I have another video I'm going to do later about China. With fentanyl laced now with, so you can't use Narcan to reverse the effects anymore because they're putting in horse tranquilizer. So people are on the streets, and you can go look at it on the internet, like in Philadelphia and democratic cities, they're like literally bent over, like zonked out. Their arms and their legs are necrotic, so they're losing their limbs from injecting. So the Chinese are trying to kill us. I'm not kidding you. I'm not joking. They're trying to kill us. They're likely pushing the border, what's happening at the border too, because it's open. When it's open, you're open to attack. People need to open their eyes. Did China unleash the virus on purpose? I believe so. They have a war on the West. And I heard it so I heard that on Redacted. That it's their plan to destroy the West, along with things like TikTok, where a lot of racism and LGBTQ is perpetuated. They collect a lot of data on there, okay? If you ask a question, you're shamed. Does that not make you question who is compromised? Why do you think Donald Trump kept saying over and over when he had the chance that the China virus? Have you ever seen, okay, so, yes, have you ever seen their concentration camps in China to turn Muslim and other religions back to atheistic, law-abiding people? Like, these are, like, millions of people they do that to. You got to look it up to know what I'm talking about. The reason you don't hear the truth about these things is the media. They used to. The virus here in North America was about making billions of dollars. The corruption is epic, and God will have his revenge, and I hope to sit in a good seat to watch it. Now they're saying it was okay. So I keep getting into this. So I do think it was on purpose by China. I do, and people used it to make a lot of money. So who really knows? Like, right? It's something like that. And they pushed the fear of the virus on us to accelerate people to get shots. Young kids. Pardon me, my stomach is really bad right now. George Floyd. He didn't deserve to die, but he wasn't innocent either. BLM gets violent, and the Democrats literally watch their cities burn to the ground and don't call on anyone to help, like the military. Then that's evil. They left civilians on their own to fight for their own. Democratic, not Republican or conservatives, actively seek to defund the police. Nobody who parrots that garbage would actually agree with it if they found themselves a victim of it, would they? They would change their mind very quickly. From what I can see, TV media, and you know what? They were even going to like judges' houses. Sorry, my voice is going. This happens every once in a while. I have dysphonia, so from what I can see, TV, media, and Hollywood movies especially are pushing propaganda, but the evil from them has increased so much. The same with music videos, mostly hip-hop and groups like Rihanna, Beyonce, Lady Gaga, and so on. All the blockbuster movies somehow appease China, and all seem to have a superhero theme. Not many movies are imaginative like they once were and free. Things that used to be hidden are now out in the open. I can show you videos broken down frame by frame about their satanic meanings, like right from the beginning to the end. Beyonce and Rihanna have satanic videos that I'm not talking about 1, 2, or 3 things. I'm talking about the entire video. There's a reason why so many actors and singers give us the alting eye symbol with their hands. They're followers, haters of God and nothing more. Do what thou wilt, as Aleister Crowley says. Convergence. It's no coincidence that these are happening at once in bunches, somewhat spread apart. They're intensifying at a fast pace because the baby is arriving. It's coming. The birth pains are at such an intensity, and the only ones aware are lovers of God and good. I mean, other people do, but for, you know, it's my own belief that the election, I think that the last election, I think Biden, I think it was probably rigged. That's just my own opinion. It seems to be a common theme, like Brazil. Unpopular people are getting into high positions, and the commonality seems to be the World Economic Forum. The mainstream media doesn't cover protests all over the globe, including the Iranian new revolution. That's just crazy. They're bought and paid for. They care about trans and vaccines. Think about it. Think about what I said at the beginning of this video. That's paid for. Like 20 countries are protesting at once and they wouldn't cover it. What does that say about the journalists? I can tell you that, and they're afraid of being shamed, I understand. Some open up. I can tell you that only a few families, far above even corporations and banks, run the show. Imagine how God will deal with these families that will try to hide from his face in the rocks and caves. I would. You know, in their bunkers when everything goes wrong. I don't know a lot about FTX, but the politicians had their hands dirty with it. That's no small deal at $30 billion. No big deal, just 30 billion, right? Now the party that had money donated to them by FTX won't return the money. I don't know the whole story. Let me tell you something I find strange about all billionaires. Let's talk about the poor for a second. In specifics, the poor and starving of the people of Africa. You can research it your own selves. They say that per year, it only takes $5 billion to safely feed the continent. So you imagine how many years we've been hearing that we could, how it'd be so excellent if we could feed Africa, right, and keep them out of starvation. $5 billion, they're saying. It begs the obvious question: why don't billionaires, super mega rich, pool their money together and do the impossible? Ukraine, $113 billion, but they won't help a continent, an entire continent. I remember someone making a comment to Elon Musk that his money could be better put towards feeding Africa rather than space. And his response was, giving to charity was shady, which is true. But someone of his stature could pull that off. He'd just make his own charity and make sure they get it, right? But they don't do that. It doesn't happen. They just don't want to, and they're more interested in space. Most people don't understand that Africa is more fertile than most places and can sustain easily, but it's the warring factions that have always stopped progress in many other countries. So guys, Africa, it could be completely sustainable. They have amazing farmland apart from the Sahara. So I don't know if I'm gonna have enough time here before. Try not to make it go past 34 minutes or so. Where I live, it's if not the most temperate place on earth for weather shifts. When I grew up, the summer could on average have 1 to 3 hot spells of maybe a week or more of super hot weather, like plus 32 or 33 Celsius without humidity. About 17 years ago, our summers were being swamped with heat and humidity. So it was the humidity to the point where nobody was going outside. I don't say global warming either. There are tornadoes around here, but very few. The second, third, and fourth year that I lived here, the second, third, and fourth year I lived where I am right now. So I've been here for 4.5 years. There were tornadoes. The clouds can turn black here in seconds. And last summer there was a 1,000-mile long derecho, which was rare. World weather has changed. The weather worldwide has gone wild in the last 3 or 4 years, and I promise to you, it won't stop because I believe the words of Jesus Christ. Summer 2023 is fast approaching, and I wonder if droughts will begin again. And no, I don't want that to happen. I actually prayed for it to rain in California when they said all that drought was there. The thing now is that you don't know what's coming next. How about flooding in Pakistan? I remember watching the 2004 tsunami from the earthquake in Indonesia. That was horrible. It's amazing how far the drought of 2022 spread, like it was in many countries. Deserts were being flooded where they never saw rain in their history. And it wasn't just that it did it once, it did it again. That's how quick and virulent this is. Weather is going crazy, and I don't think anyone disagrees. How about politics? I couldn't believe the race for the senator with John Fetterman and Dr. Oz. They were willing to put anyone willing to speak for their policies that are communistic, by the way, in place. I can't believe in Pennsylvania that Fetterman won. I can't believe it. If you saw the list of policies he was championing that they wanted to incorporate, he was a mouthpiece. It would make you feel sick. They wanted to let out 33 or 50% of prisoners with no cash bail, which, by the way, is ripping through the streets with crime waves in the U.S. No cash bail is really hurting the United States. A lot of violence. There was no talk of volcanoes for years. At the end of 2022, the last 4 months or so, 10 volcanoes suddenly became active. That's what I mean. You know, it could be 150 of them and people still wouldn't notice if you don't believe in Jesus Christ. You might say it's normal for a volcano to be active, but not 10 of them. Someone said to me, it's the Ring of Fire excuse. But many of them weren't in the Ring of Fire. That's why it's so difficult pointing out abnormal events leading to the soon return of Jesus Christ. I thought I'd finish with this. As the droughts were tearing through the world through the summer of 2022, I remember seeing an ominous sign in a major German river. It reached such a low level that an old rock, I don't know if it was I don't know which river in Germany it was, but it was one of their major ones. It reached, and look, you can look for this on Google Images. It reached such a low level that an old rock appeared with writing carved into the rock, like a big rock. It said, if you see this writing, weep. Did you see how dangerously close the world got to barren rivers and lakes? The winter came like a blessing. In California, the floods were a blessing, like right now, like 15 feet of snow and one snowfall. Despite the carnage, because it filled their reservoirs again. Very lucky. Boats on the Mississippi, tugs couldn't even move. That's major to your country to have those tugs moving because so much water was gone. And all these places in Europe, China, US, it was all 1,200-year lows, droughts, and still people don't understand and blame climate change. Remember, Elijah prayed for the rain to stop and restart. So that's it. I'm going to attach videos. Wait, see what time I got here. I attached something else. I don't know if I'm going to say all of that. If you're interested in hearing what Amir said about the Catholic Church, which I fully agree, please watch his latest video from yesterday. Catholics need to wake up. Do you know that they had a big meeting not so long ago and said the Reformation protest was over and we are all Catholics? Please watch that video. So he puts that in there. I feel sick to my stomach right now, literally and figuratively. And I'll tell you why. Okay, so I did tell you this, but I'll read it anyways. A Canadian pastor was thrown to the ground because he disagreed with LGBTQ story hour with children. He was calling them evil and they literally threw him out. Do you know the Communist Manifesto perpetuates this? That's why I talk about TikTok. China is responsible in many respects because they support it. They don't support it in China, but here, yes, from far. They arrested the pastor. I read that all. So the persecution is here now. Story hour is in my own city. It's moving at light speed. Our governments are weaponized now and compromised with the reprobate mind. The whole agenda, when you hear about LGBTQ and all that type of stuff, which it's not that they care so much about them, it's the agenda, okay? When they have full control over us, they're not going to give a damn about those people, so just know that. So they're weaponized with reprobate minds. Remember what Revelation says. Many will be offended and hand you over, and that's happening. So if it's happening right now, how much quicker will it get and pick up if it's like this already? So I just learned this stuff is happening in Canada just yesterday. I know there's stuff happening in the UK that you can't say stuff, like post on social media and get arrested. Schools don't teach communism to be our mortal enemy, and the Bible is gone. And this is our justful judgment. So I'll just close real quick. I pray that everyone in this room has the courage just to keep going on. You know what? I did write something here. I pray for everyone in this room, but I wrote something to the people who watched my videos who are sick and have pain. But it goes for everyone. No matter what happens, and no matter what you hear, and no matter what comes down the pipe, just keep reading your Bible. I open the Bible up, I read the Bible in the morning, and if I didn't do that, it would be very hard to ground my day. So I pray for all of you today and until my next video, that everyone stays safe, and I don't know, if persecution comes, then it comes, right? And just hope we know how to deal with it properly. So I'm very uncomfortable right now. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from every evil in our days. Amen. Thanks for watching my video. If I get past a certain amount of minutes, it takes forever to upload. Thanks for watching my video today.